Anthony Yarde made his return to the ring against a guy here called Ralphs Vilkans. Now, I seen the fight, and yeah, now this fight was scored over 10 rounds. If you look at the scorecard, well, the single scorecard, because the referee scored it, it doesn't actually say it on the main page, but it will tell you Victor Loughlin scored the fight 98 points to 92. And that Vilkans was down in the first round, which he was. First right hand Anthony Yarde through. He dropped Vilkans. And it did appear that this was just going to go the way of pretty much all of Anthony Yarde's fights, certainly at this kind of level, to be honest with you, that he goes in there, he hits the guy a couple of times, and they just go down. Simple as. This wasn't the case. Vilkans, he only had one loss, but you got to remember that he came into this fight. He was only announced, I think, Monday or Tuesday. So you're only announced as the opponent days prior to the fight. You have a completely like your record is just full of unknowns. I mean, Sefa Safiri, not Sefa, is Sufi, who campaigned at 168 pounds, lost to Billy Joe Saunders a couple of years ago, is your most notable name, and even he wasn't that good. It doesn't give you much confidence. And given the fact that Team Yarde have a habit of doing this, where they will get guys where on paper their record, it's not that it's a good record necessarily, but it doesn't look too bad for, say, the casual to view. They'll bring them in, they'll have maybe a loss or two or three losses, it won't look that bad on paper, and then you see them in the ring and you're like, oh, they can't fight. They're completely like a fish out of water here. It looked like that would be the case, but it wasn't actually the case with this guy Vilkans. He was actually a lot better, and Yarde's team, and I can kind of, well, I would get it if it was a prospect, in a sense of they never seemed to match Anthony Yarde. The only two punchers Yarde has ever fought in his career have been Beterbiev and Kovalev. They're the only two punchers he ever fought in his career. This guy Vilkan's not a puncher. They never seem to want to put him anywhere near big punchers, Team Yarde, for whatever reason. And Team Yarde, in the post-fight interview, they were trying to make it, and they didn't accurately or sufficiently answer the question, who was next. You know, it should be obvious, it should be Joshua Boazzi, because it makes the most sense. But it kind of, they left you kind of guessing a little bit in the post-fight, but they were playing up the whole, oh, well, you know, it's his return to the ring, it's this, that, and the other. And they went, hang on, time out. You fought in February. It's October. It's not even a year. It's not even close to a year. It's not like you were, you know, out of the ring for a year, 18 months, and you're coming in. If you were out of the ring for that long, I would say, yeah, you know, I mean, like, you could be due a rusty performance. You go in there with a guy who you think is easy. You prepare mentally for an easy fight. It becomes a little bit harder. You are a little bit rusty. You can make a fight that, if you were, you know, active, could be a lot easier, could be harder. Yeah, fair enough. But you've not been out of the ring that long. I mean, plenty of top level fighters. I mean, if you think about it, most fighters like could go a year, maybe 10 months, thereabouts, roughly that. They can go a lot longer. I mean, like February till October, you know, you can go from April to December and fight if you're a top level fighter and look exactly the same, and you're fighting good fighters. So I don't understand where Team Yarde are coming from with this. Oh, well, he's only back in the ring. You didn't fight that long ago. And then prior to that, you fought in September of last year. So it's not like you've been, you know, only fighting once a year. You've been fighting, you know, a couple of times now. I mean, this is your second fight this year. You had two fights last year. So I don't see where the inactivity excuse is coming from. In terms of the fight itself, Yarde didn't look good. A lot of people in the commentaries were saying that the knockdown didn't help him, in a sense of, but it did help him. It obviously helped him, you know, build up a lead in the scorecards. But he tried too hard to go for a knockout then after. And the mid-rounds, Vilkans was definitely in there. It's only really when Anthony Yarde stopped looking for the knockout, which was in the last round. That's one of the rounds he clearly won. If you see the scorecard there of 98-92, that doesn't tell the reflection of what this fight was like. If anything, that scorecard doesn't do Vilkans any favours, because it implies that it was a fairly comfortable fight for Anthony Yarde. He lost 2 rounds, but ultimately it was fairly comfortable. It was not. It was nothing of the sort, thank you very much. Vilkans was definitely in this fight. I mean, did he win it? No. But was it competitive enough that you could give him maybe 4 rounds? Yeah, certainly could. You had a knockdown onto that, and then obviously you're thinking, geez, take away the knockdown, it's reasonably close. Yarde for me won it, but this performance here is a worry. It really is. Vilkans is not going to trouble the guys at world level. He's better than I personally thought he was, but he's not going to trouble any guys at world level, in my opinion. This right here for Anthony Yarde, he did not look good. We don't know, is he going to be working with Boxer and Sky moving forward? What's going to happen? When is he going to fight next? If he's going to go in there against the likes of Joshua Boazzi, because I was hearing the names of Craig Richards and stuff like that, why are you naming him? Like, no disrespect to Richards, but he's lost to Willie Hutchinson. If Yarde's going to try and compete and mix it and have one last go, because I think he's at this point in his career, it is one last go at world level, we're going to need to see a big improvement. And Yarde has done something that he had time a couple of years ago to fix. He didn't fix it, or I say fix it. I've always felt that Yarde with Tunde is not a terrible trainer by no stretch. I mean, if he was a terrible trainer, Yarde wouldn't look as polished as he does for having virtually no amateur fights. He's not a terrible trainer, but at the same time, he has a ceiling. And I think Yarde hit that ceiling with Tunde back in 2020, to be honest with you, when he fought Lyndon Arthur. I thought that was the time to change things up, have a look at trainers like Adam Booth, Shane McGuigan, people like that. He was still young enough and athletic enough at that time that I felt that if you leave him now, you'll still have enough time to develop and become a better fighter. And, you could still maybe keep Tunde as part of the team, maybe keep him in there as, maybe second in command or something like that, but go and swap a trainer and, develop. Because if you think about it like this, what fighters go to Tunde? Like, think about what fighter would leave a trainer like Shane McGuigan or someone like that? You think, well, who are they going to train with? Are they going to train with Grant Smith? Are they going to train with Mark Tibbs, Adam Booth, etc.? They're the names you hear. You never hear anyone say, I'm going to go train with Tunde Ajayi. He's never on the top sheets or lists of top UK trainers. I'm not being bad, but that's just the truth. And I think there's a reason for that. I think he's taken Anthony as far as he's going to take him in terms of technically. I think that in terms of his career, I think Tunde has been, yes, he's gotten the Adidas sponsor and he's made him some money earlier on in his career, but I think now it's more a hindrance. I think you could say, was he a good manager at one point in his career? Yeah, he did some stuff, he got him some good deals. Now I think it's just a hindrance. And I just think Yarde is just so indoctrinated into that whole, stay loyal, this is the team, lions in the camp and all that, that he's probably let the best years or the chance to become the best fighter that he could be go. And I'd be very surprised at this point in Yarde's career, because again, when he lost to Lyndon Arthur, I think he was meant to rematch Arthur straight away, and that was in 2021, and I think Lyndon Arthur pulled out and they had to reschedule it for December or something like that. He ended up winning the rematch anyway, so that's fine. But do you remember, I think it was in Birmingham or Telford, it was one or the other, the level of opponents Yarde was still fighting then. He'd had a world title crack. He's still fighting these absolute cream puffs that you would look at prospects turning over from Team GB, from the amateurs, and you'd be saying, do you know what benefit are they going to get fighting these types of guys? They're just too poor. Yarde's in his mid-30s now. He's had 2 cracks at a world title. And obviously this guy, Vilkans, is not that. But you look at the last few opponents he's had, that's basically what it's been. So it's frustrating, Anthony Yarde's career. It's been very frustrating to watch. It's more so frustrating when you see a fighter with the talent and potential of Yarde not fulfill it. And it's not that he's not fulfilled it because of substance abuse, lack of discipline, something like that. Because you do see that with fighters. You see fighters who have potential. They don't live the life. They are never in shape. It's always so they kind of end up... Even some fighters who do good things in their career, like Kell Brook, you'd think that a bit more discipline, they could have done a lot more. With Anthony Yarde, it's not that. With Anthony Yarde, it's just staying with the same team and never really being able to properly develop, having bizarre fights, like really bizarre matchmaking, really bizarre. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You go from, just cab driver after cab driver, no disrespect, but that's what he's doing. He's fighting those guys, then to the best at world level, and nothing in between. Unreal. I think it's frustrating. Good fighter, but poorly managed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Until next time, I'll leave it there. Peace.